I want to say dinner went off without a hitch. But you should know me by now that it definitely has not. Ela and I were on the sofa, drinking wine and reminiscing for so long that we forgot the stew. Everything was marred by the smell of it burning at the bottom of the pot. We were able to save the potatoes, though. So, potato with tomato dinner it was. Tiny and Giant didn't seem to mind. They were preoccupied competing for Ela's attention. I couldn't help but giggle. All my questions were being answered right before my eyes. It was all about who could pour the wine first, who could offer a handkerchief first, then somehow who could outrun who. If I'm honest, I think I should be jealous. I always tried not to care, always tried to remain focused on the goal, but sometimes those feelings are worse than mud grabbing onto you and not letting go. But with Ela, it's not jealousy exactly. She is an enigma. I'd be surprised if she didn't have absolutely everyone smitten off their feet. Hell, if Ruben were still here, I can't say I'd be surprised to lose him to her too. She's disgustingly beautiful. Carefree, but caring. Watching her interact with another is a wonder. Everyone trusts her so easily, like she barely has to work to break any walls down. If you look closely, you can watch her subtly clock what is useful, but you have to be paying attention. So if there's any intention behind her conversations, you wouldn't be able to tell. I'm stuck going in circles in my mind of, am I jealous of her? Or of everyone else around us wanting her attention as bad as I do? I don't think I've ever been so enthralled by a woman before. We were all having an excellent time passing around the big bowl of potatoes when finally Wayne decided to join us. You could tell he was tired from his journey. He barely took in who was in the room before stating, "Oh yeah, sure. Welcome to Hotel Wayne, where we host every Tom, Dick, and fuckwad that walks through the door. Good call, Locke." It still makes me laugh. but then he stopped. I instantly clocked the moment that his and Ela's eyes met, and his whole demeanor shifted. I don't think I've ever seen him more caught off guard than when he saw her. And with that, I instantly realized why she knew where things were in the kitchen. Those awkward seconds felt longer than they should have been left to stand, but I didn't know where to begin to break the ice. Thankfully, I didn't have to. Ela, in the calmest voice, said hello to Wayne, as though that simple word said everything. Tiny Giant and I all looked at each other, then at the two of them. This is when I had to interject. Immediately turning to Ela, I placed my hand over hers and begged her to tell me everything. Absolutely flabbergasted that she even had that kind of pull over Wayne, of all people, the man who you could argue doesn't really have a heart, but that the beating you hear is just a little man that he chose to torture by encasing him in his chest in order to live. Ela chuckled as she went on to say something, but was interrupted by Wayne pointing to the door. She was told that she had 5 seconds. I tried to argue her case. I didn't know what went on between the two, but it could not have been that bad. I mean, to kick her out right in the middle of dinner. Wayne's gaze broke from Ela, and he shot me with the furious "shut the fuck up" before returning to her. His voice raised as he told her that she could either leave peacefully now or he'd throw her out. Despite all this, Hila's demeanor never changed. I could tell she was amused by his reaction, as though she came looking for it. Her giggle lowered into a coy smile as she rose from the table and began to leave. She placed a hand on my shoulder but maintained her eye contact with Wayne as she said she would be seeing me soon. And just like that, she was gone again. I looked at Tiny and Giant. Tiny looked like he wanted to say something, like he was heartbroken, but he kept this one to himself for once. Giant sat there as stoic as he always is, unsurprised and unamused by everything. I wasn't really sure where to begin my line of questioning, so I started with the simplest part. So, you and Hila, eh? I don't regret the smirk across my face as he continued to grow more and more frustrated. He shook his head as he sat at the table, stating that she was a mistake who had taken him for a schmuck, and that was the end of the conversation. I wanted to press on, but getting anything from him would be next to impossible without risking Tiny or Giant's fingers or ears as payback. So I just nodded approvingly, offered him a plate, jokingly remarking about the return of Angry Wayne. I know he tried to hide it, but I could see the smile break through at the memory of that ridiculous man. Wayne proceeded to make fun of the food, confused as to how he could call one bowl of potatoes dinner. I told him he'd understand once he tried the magnificence that is my cooking. He refused, but for good reason. He was only seated for about 2 minutes before standing, telling Tiny and Giant that they can be on their way for now. That's when he motioned for me to follow, stating that he has someone he'd like me to meet. It is a great cause of concern if Wayne is ever enthusiastic for me, especially to meet somebody. I knew that we were about to have some excitement again.